the coveted spot in the NFC playoffs. And while a new year starts tomorrow, for the Rams, a new season starts today. A season long on pressure and very short on tomorrow. The Philadelphia Eagles spent their season cultivating a surly image that struck fear and pain in the souls of opposing quarterbacks. And while the formula has proven successful, their playoff hopes ride with the performance of Randall Cunningham as the Eagles try to fulfill their long-awaited promise. An eerie setting underscored a sorry ending to the Eagles' playoff drive last season, a shattered dream the Rams know all too well. To the Super Bowl begins at Veterans Stadium right now, and rain is in the forecast. Not much wind. That's the good news. Good afternoon. I'm Pat Summerall here with John Madden. When you think about the Los Angeles Rams, you think of the great year that Jim Everett had. You think of their outstanding offensive line. But Everett has a lot of weapons with which to work.
Well, he does. And he has a lot of speed on the outside, and that's the thing that worries the Eagles and Buddy Ryan. And Buddy Ryan's answer to everything, of course, is you do it with your pass rush. You rush your quarterback. You knock him around. Now, that is going to be the matchup. The Ram offensive line against the Eagle defensive line. And I think for the Rams, they aren't going to block that group every time, but it's what happens when they don't block them. If they can come up and just take a sack now and then, just take a hurry, but don't throw the interception. Don't have the turnover. That's going to be big because the Eagles lead the league in turnovers with 56.
And, of course, you can't forget about Greg Bell and the great year that he had. The Eagles, you think of Randall Cunningham, and you think of the front four. What do you think they have to do?
Well, I think they just have to be able to play a consistent game, and Randall Cunningham has to come up with the big plays. You know, we were talking to Randall Cunningham, and he says that he likes to have a running game, but he likes to be able to throw the ball to and run and throw it. Now, as John Robinson says, we don't worry too much when he just sits in the pocket and throws it, nor do we worry when he runs with it. But when he scrambles around and buys all that time and then hits the deep one, that's the one that we have to stop. The Rams have a new defense today where they aren't even going to use any defensive linemen to chase Randall Cunningham. They're going to have 5 linebackers and 6 defensive backs. Now, we have another first here today, Pat. The autograph or the signature of the commissioner is always on the football. It's been Pete Rozelle. Today, it goes to Paul Tagliabue. So right now, with this kickoff, this is a historic event. It's the first time the new commissioner's been kicked off.
And Roger Ruzick will do the honors. Ron Brown and Robert Del Pino back deep for the Rams. A fine mist falling at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. But as we said a moment ago, not much wind, and that's the good news. A line drive kickoff bounces in front of Del Pino, and he just has to fall on it. Wisely did not try to pick it up. The Ram quarterback, 3rd in the NFL. What an outstanding year Jim Everett had in '89. In front of him, 3 guys out of that group going to the Pro Bowl. Newberry, Smith, and Slater. Duval Love is the right guard. Pankey, the left tackle. The backs, Greg Bell, Buford McGee at fullback, Willie Anderson, and Henry Ellard wide. When they go 4, it'll be Cox as one of them and Brown the other. Ellard is the man in motion. And Everett goes right to work. Outside to Greg Bell. First down Rams, Moore. Bell out to the 40. Cut down by Andre Waters. The Philadelphia defensive line, White, Pitts, Brown, and Simmons. Names becoming more and more familiar. The linebackers, Joyner, Evans in the middle, having a good year, and Al Harris. Jenkins and Everett start at cornerback. Hopkins and Waters, the hard-hitting safeties. When they go 6, it's Lilly and Frizzell. 1st and 10 Rams at their own 40. Who looks like he's changing the play. Gives the bell. Smothered by White. 2-yard pickup for Greg Bell.
You know, Pat, it was interesting that first pass play out there to Greg Bell. Jim Everett told us yesterday that the Eagles use a lot of zone, and we want to hit the flats. Now, the flats are the sideline areas between the numbers on the field and the sideline.
Everett said in that same discussion, I'm going to have to be willing to take some sacks, and I'm going to have to be alert enough to get it into the flat quickly, and he goes there again. That's Del Pino. Taken out of bounds by Eric Everett.
Yeah, there's a guy that is very effective, Del Pino. He's not a starter for the Rams, and he's a fullback who they put in sometimes to run, but mostly as a pass receiver. In fact, Jim Everett told us last night, he said, a key to this game is that when you see Del Pino in, he said, I'm probably going to throw to him.
1st and 10, they got 15 yards on that pass completion from Everett to Del Pino. Anderson on the right, Ellard on the left. Bell. And Greg Bell gets inside the Eagle 40. Stopped by Byron Evans, a gain of just 3.
I think
looks like it might be more.
I think it's a heck of a start for the Rams here, Pat, because, you know, we talked about that front four of the Eagles and this offensive line of the Rams and how they have to control it. And when your quarterback can throw a couple and not even get touched, and you get a couple of runs that can make a few yards, you haven't won the battle all day, but you've won the first round of the battle.
2nd and 7. Still Buford McGee and Greg Bell behind Everett. Lamone Johnson, the tight end. Here is Everett wants to throw it. Pass is caught by Ellard. Ram touchdown. He out-jumped Isaiah Jenkins. 39-yard touchdown pass. Quieted the stadium considerably.
That was the thing Jim Everett was saying, and John Robinson, that this is the type of thing. We're going to have some bad plays. We may have a whole lot of bad plays, but the way they play defense, we're going to get some big plays. Watch Henry Ellard. He's going against Isaiah Jenkins here. Now, Jenkins goes in front of him. You see, he takes that fight and goes for the ball in front of him. He misjudges it. And then when Ellard catches it, now he's behind Jenkins.
Extra point is good by McFadden. And the Rams take a quick 7-0 lead in this wild card contest. The touchdown again.
Again, this is when it starts with good pass protection, and these types of things can happen.
And the Rams lead 7-0 early at Veterans Stadium. Pat Summerall with John Madden. 5 plays, 83 yards. Scoring first has won 8 out of the last 9 wild card games. That barefoot of Mike Lansford has got to be cold.
You know, there's something stupid about that. When you wear no shoe in your foot and gloves in your hands, something's wrong with that.
Well, you got to remember he's a kicker.
Yeah, that's probably part of it.
Anthony Edwards on the return. Gets to about the 28. Randall Cunningham directs the Eagle offense. That was in the fog game last year against the Bears. 27 out of 54 for him. And that's his offensive line. Alexander starting at left tackle. Shad Remington at center. Ron Sultan, Ron Heller on the right side, and Keith Jackson, the tight end. Byers will start with Tony. Carter and Ron Johnson are wide. Greg Garrity is available. Keith Sherman is starting in place of Byers. They introduced Byers, but Sherman gets the call. Tony. Sherman to the right side. Pickup of 2. The Ram defense, and there's going to be a lot of changes, but they'll begin it like this. Miller, Wright, and Peel up front. He'll go as long as he can. Green, Kelm, Strickland, and Wiltshire, the linebackers. In the secondary, Gray, Irvin, Newsom, and Stewart. And then Henley and Jackson come in when they go to 6 defensive backs. 2nd and 8.